Hi, this is Kathie Bakken from Craft with Kathie. Thank you for joining me this evening. If you'd be kind enough to just say hello and tell me where you're viewing from, I'd love to know. Tonight's project is going to be using the Give Us This Day transfer on this nice little Odette board. We're going to use it to be hung vertically. You could use it vertically or horizontally. There's hangers on both ends, and I should make sure, I guess I do it at the top the right way. And to begin, I need to fuzz my transfer. You can tell that this transfer is substantially larger than the board, and I'm only going to use part of the transfer on the board because of that. And you could do that. You could actually even cut your transfers if you needed to and use them in pieces. It really depends what you want to do. You have a lot of flexibility. Our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times depending upon proper care. And oops, I forgot to label the back of my transfer. Let me do that. Good reason to label the back of your transfers is that you then know what the transfer sheet, which transfer the backing actually goes to, and it lets you differentiate between the shiny side of the backing, which goes against the adhesive of the transfer, and the dull side, which is the back. I'm struggling here to pull this off the backer. It's a brand new transfer, and sometimes that could be a little bit of a challenge. Usually if I just roll my finger over it, I can get it to pull back a little bit, but it's not, of course it's not working. I'm live, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm bringing it a little bit closer to me so that I could actually see. I'm in that weird kind of stage where I guess I kind of need bifocals. And my regular glasses don't have them, and I can't see well enough close up with them. So I took them off. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off of the backer, and you can see this the backer sheet is very shiny. That's the side that goes against the adhesive of the transfer. And the back of that is dull. And I'm just move this out of our way. Oops. Okay. And this is a size C transfer, which is a little bit large for a fuzzing cloth. So I've got 2 fuzzing cloths laid side by side to fuzz this on. Fuzzing is intentionally adding fuzz or lint to the back of your transfer. Like I said, our transfers are adhesive on the back. And you do that so that the transfer doesn't adhere quite as strongly, and it's easier then to pull it up when you're done chalking with it. You want to fuzz really, really well whenever you're chalking on metal or glass. You can actually hear that pulling up. And oops, I'm using a brand new fuzzing cloth, and I just realized it's a good idea to shake them out before you use them. I picked up some large pieces of fuzz on the back here that I'm not going to want as bumps underneath my transfer. Well, we'll see how that goes. As long as they're not in the silk screen, it's not really too much of an issue. Ah, there's a piece in the silk screen. Anyway, you deliberately apply the lint or the fuzz before you use the transfer. And then when you're done and you clean the transfer, you put it in a water bath or run it under running water to remove the chalk paste. And then you go back over the transfer, first the front side, and then you flip it over and do the adhesive side with a Lysol wipe, and when it removes any excess chalk off your transfer, but when you clean the back side, it removes the lint and reactivates the adhesiveness so that the transfer is nice and sticky for you. Okay, this is my top. Oops, meant to say Clorox wipe. I want to take care, especially since this is a larger transfer, not to have it inadvertently stick to itself. If that happens, the best thing is to do is to get it in water as soon as possible and gently nudge the pieces apart. You don't really want to pull. You just want to gently release them from each other. Now, this is a little bit small for my surface, and I knew that straight up, but I love this Odette board. I think it's beautiful, and I thought this little flower would look nice along with the curve of the Odette, or little flower and leaf. So we'll see how this fits. I know the bottom I'm not going to chalk this, and I think I'm going to lose a little bit at the top of the Y here, but I think that'll be fine. So I want to turn it around and make sure that it's centered properly. I need to move it up a little bit more. When you lift your transfer, you never want to pull it diagonally. Our transfers are vinyl and silkscreen, and as such, they're like fabric. So if you pull it, like I just did, lift it from the corner, didn't intend to, but if you pull it from the corner, you can cause the fabric to stretch by pulling it on the bias. Now I want to smooth this down, making sure there are no air bubbles within the part of the transfer that I'm using. I do not have to push that down to the surface, as I'm not going to chalk it. I'm going to leave it off, see how it looks. I might need to actually move this and reuse it down at the bottom. It depends if it looks plain, or see if I want to just actually maybe add some silk flowers or something on the bottom. I think this is nice and snug. The letters are a little large on here, a lot of silk screen, so I want to make sure there are no air bubbles in the letters so I get nice flow through of the chalk. Okay, and I'm going to be using a few different colors. I'm going to use 2 different colors of green. Oh, this is starting to thicken up on me. I'm going to add a little spritz of water to it to thin it down. I had the cover off as I was getting prepped. If your chalk paste gets a little too thick, add some distilled water to it. You always wanted to use distilled water as opposed to tap, because you might have impurities in your tap water. And then I'm going to use this parakeet because leaves are more than one color green. For the lettering, I'm going to use our Morning Glory Blue. I think it's a nice kind of like sky-like blue that'll be pretty. And then I'm going to use a little aubergine. Oh, nope. I guess I grabbed the grape soda on the flowers. Okay, and I think I'm going to do the lettering first. Figure out the best way for me to get where I need to be with this. So, with that in mind, I've already stirred all my pastes. And oops, and what you know, this seems like it's thickened up too. So much for that idea. Let me add a little spritz of water and stir it up a little bit more. So how's your start to the year going? Busy January? Lots of plans for 2020? Hello everyone, sorry about that. Obviously technical difficulties, right? Not quite sure what happened, but all of a sudden I heard Facebook start playing my video again. I was like, wait a second, I should still be live. So I spritzed some paper towels with water to try and keep my surface from drying out too quickly. I've never actually left chalk paste on this long, so I'm a little nervous about it. Not what you want to do, actually. But I did want to continue this video. So quickly, I'm going to take a little bit of my parakeet green and dab it in a couple different places here. I kind of want a lot of it on the stem. Oops. And also, oops, that was not good. Some of my darker green. Okay. Need a few more tools here. And I want to work this mixture over the silk screen of the leaves and the stem so that I get kind of a multicolor. I cannot put this obviously back in the jar because it's a mixed up color of paste, and that's fine. I think I used just probably about the perfect amount here actually. Let me get this little edge here of the vine smoothed out. And I have this little area of vine to work on, or leaves and stem, I should say, not vine. I don't know what I'm thinking. So a little of the lighter green. And then my darker. I was using the multi-tool to clean my green paste. It had gotten a little clumpy. And let me smear these together a little bit and clean it up with the other part of my multi-tool here. Get rid of my excess paste. And smooth it out. I'm not going at the proper angle. I'm having a hard time reaching from where I'm at. Okay.
Can I flush it, darling?
Can you? Okay, so now I want to add my grape soda as the little flowers here. And I just stuck my squeegee in upside down. This is a little cut up squeegee that I made for getting into tight little corners here. Remove the excess and let me work on this little area. You want the angle of your squeegee to be about a 35-40 degree angle, and I wasn't doing that, so let me clean this up. And I think with that, it's time to peel and reveal. Let me clean my fingers a little bit with my wet paper towel, and hopefully this is not dried too much and it'll lift okay. If it doesn't, I'll just be very careful with the transfer, clean it, erase my board, and go for a second try. It's the nice thing about our transfers and our boards, totally reusable. So if there's a mistake, no harm, no foul. And try lifting it at a 90-degree angle. And I have a little bit of issue with the S in the us. Let me try and lay this back down and go over that one more time with the blue. I might have had an air bubble. It might have just lifted from being dry. If this doesn't straighten it out, then what I will do is erase it, just that letter or the letter next to it, both of them, and come back in. Yeah, looks like my chalk paste is pulling up. Come back in and after I clean my transfer and just do that one letter. Yeah, I don't think it really... It does definitely look dry. I've got one other idea. And I don't know if this will work. But I'm going to spritz my finger and see if I could soften up the chalk paste there. It looks like it's kind of stuck in the screen. And I don't know, I might be actually a little bit too loose here. We'll find out shortly. Okay, I'm going to hit it back with my squeegee. See if I could push it through the silk screen and straighten that out. If it doesn't work, then I'll just erase and do it after I clean my transfer. Nah, helped a little bit, but not too much, and I'm missing a little bit on my leaves. Let's see if I can fix them here. Let's brighten it up a little bit. Unfortunately, it looks like my squeegee has dried, so let me grab another, see if I can remedy this. Oh, that's pretty dry. Whoops. Well, let's see. To learn by other people's mistakes, right? That did not really go through very well. So it looks like I need to wash this transfer and do a little repair work. Basically, I'll clean the transfer. I'll can't talk. I'll erase or wipe off these two little leaves. And my U turned out pretty good. They kind of straightened it up, but my S looks a little funky there. Let me do something with this transfer right now. It's too big for my water bath. I'm working right near the washroom, which I was going to run it in there. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I will clean the transfer and then come up and do a little patchwork here after I've cleaned it and it's dried again. I will just lie it over the dry chalking that I've done so far, get it aligned, and then just redo the areas that need to be fixed. I kind of like how the greens look. I don't know if you could really see in the lighting here, but not a solid green, a mixture of colors. I think that's pretty cool. I think this will look really nice in the kitchen here. And I think it's a lovely sentiment. I apologize for the live being in two pieces. I'm not quite sure what happened with the internet, if it just dropped or what. If you are not in my VIP group and would like to be privy to additional videos, tips, tricks, etc., some games, whatever, please comment VIP below and I will send you a link to my VIP group. Or you could private message me and just say VIP and I'll send you the link from there. When I've done my little patch, when I fix this, I'll either do another little live with the fix or just post the finished product, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful life and a great 2020. Hi, welcome back. If you've been patient enough to stick with me all this time, I surely applaud you. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Not quite sure what was going on earlier. And I've just basically rinsed this transfer off. And of course, what do I not have with me? My Clorox wipes. Let me grab them and I will be right back. I'm going to go over the cleaning of the transfer, how to erase it from the surface, and then how to make the necessary repairs. Well, that was sure tough work, trying to free a container from the mega pack of the soup from the superstore. Why do they have to make that packaging so dang strong? Ooh, I think I tore loose a couple of these. Okay. Let me cover up my greens, obviously. I'm drying out my paste here, and I did not intend to. Okay. So I've rinsed as much paste as I could off of the transfer in the bathroom sink. And now I'm going to remove any remaining paste from the front of the transfer using a Clorox wipe. And a nice circular motion is pretty good. You really don't want to hurry too much and cause the transfer to buckle or fold or anything. So I'm always in a hurry trying to clean them. I guess I need to slow down a little bit in that area. And I definitely have some dried on paste there. Let me kind of scrub that off. There's a little residual staining of the transfer from the paste that doesn't do anything to the transfer at all. It doesn't hurt it. If I wanted, I could use a board eraser. I've got one out here that's pretty grungy. It's been well used, but you just wet it with water and go over. I could actually spritz this too a little bit, and you'll see how it could take off the green here. The more pigment the chalk has, the more chance it has of staining the transfer, but as I mentioned, it really doesn't hurt the transfer at all. I'm taking a fresh wipe and going over this again. Ooh, wrinkles. Don't want wrinkles there. Because my transfer was nice and wet before I placed it down on my glass mat, you can use glass silicone. I've worked on a plastic tablecloth. I'll work really fine, but because it was wet from the washing it in the sink, it's not sticking to my surface. And I usually clean up any excess on my surface. I've got some chalk here from earlier. Let me get rid of that. And then flip my transfer over so that it is adhesive side up, and this is what you want to be careful not to let happen. You don't want it to stick to itself. But the adhesive needs to be renewed a little bit. First you go over it and make sure you remove any chalk paste that might still be on the transfer. Using extra care to look at the silk screen areas to make sure there's no chalk paste in the silk screen, especially as this dried so much on me. And then when you're sure you've got all the chalk off of it, which, look at this big blob I missed here. I like to use a fresh wipe to remove the lint. on the other side of my board. Okay. So I just usually go from the middle outwards, having it gather the lint on the wipe or off the board, and this will renew the adhesive on the back of the transfer. Little piece of fuzz there. See if I can pick it up. So removing the lint rejuvenates the adhesive on the back of the transfers. That's why you want to make sure you do a nice job when you clean them, because as long as you take care of them properly, you will get at least 8 to 12 uses out of a transfer. Now I am going to put this on the microfiber side of my fuzzing towel, sticky side up. I know this is a little bit big for my fuzzing cloth, and I might use the second one. I'm not quite sure. We'll see how this looks, how it fits. I think this will be okay. So we want it to dry, adhesive side up. It's starting to get sticky already here. And I'm pressing down a little bit because it actually kind of dries the other side of it. Oops, getting really sticky. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside and grab my surface. Excuse me for a moment. And then let's talk about chalk paste. Our chalk paste goes on wet, our Chalkology paste goes on wet, dries hard. If you want to make it permanent on a surface, you need to spray with some type of sealer. But in reality, if you need, or you would like to use the surface again, just dry dust, and it doesn't come off, it's dried hard. Which leads me to, how are we going to remove this? I have these little cosmetic stick things, one with a pointy end, one with like a paddle in, that work great at removing chalk paste. So I'm going to use it here to clean up around the U. Get it a little more wet. I hope you could see this, how easy it is to just go right in there and take what you need off. And then what else did I want to repair? I don't really like the way the word day turned out. Even the D-A-N-Y, all three of them are a little, they don't look quite right. I mean, I know it's somewhat of a distressed font, but you could tell that the chalk paste peeled up there because I let it dry. So I just wet my paper towel here, and I'm coming in and putting a little elbow grease, not really too much, but I want to loosen it up. I don't want to spray directly on the board because I run the risk of hitting some letters that I do not want to remove. And this is doing a good job. If you have any questions, please feel free to just comment below. And if you feel like S-H-A-R-E this video, I surely would appreciate it. Sometimes you have to spread the love around. Pass it on to your friends who like to craft or are looking for a new hobby, or some entertainment with the frustration of going live and making mistakes in front of a live audience. Okay, let's see. I don't want to put that in the puddle, but I just want to be able to get over here and remove these little leaves without removing things I don't want to remove. I don't know, should I get rid of the whole thing? Maybe I should. I like the way the flowers turned out, but the leaves look splotchy. So you know what, I am going to. And in this case, I'm going to just spray. Should I get rid of the purple flowers? You know what, I think I will. Might be easier for me to line up. No big deal, it was easy enough to do. Okay. So if you let it set for a few seconds, you can see the chalk is starting to dissolve already. If you ever have staining or ghosting on your board, use a board eraser. That's what it was named for, to actually clean the board and remove any ghosting from the darker pigments. It's quick and easy. I don't think I'm going to need it for this. It hasn't been on that long, obviously. Okay, let me take a look at that and make sure I got it all. Okay, I've got some smudging down here from my little tool. Let me just hit that with a paper towel. I could actually use the microfiber on my fuzzing cloth to take care of that also. That's what it's intended for. So I could clean up here and remove the remaining dampness up here. Ah, much better. I just do have one little thing that I'm turning towards the light so that I can see it myself to get it here. Okay, that looks much better. So, as you can tell, pretty easy to remove the chalk paste. Like I said, our boards are reusable, our transfers are reusable. I could have done a few different techniques with this if I would have realized what was going to happen. I basically could have chalked and then dried it with a hairdryer and lifted the transfer up, or at least the wording up, so that it wouldn't dry. But as I didn't realize that there were going to be internet issues, I didn't start, or didn't even think of doing that. I thought I could actually get it chalked in the appropriate amount of time. Let me go grab that transfer and see if it's dry enough to continue. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I do that, I think time to maybe re-wet my paste a little bit. Get this out of the way. And take care of my paste that have started drying out while I was cleaning the transfer and other things. And this still looks like it's a nice consistency. You want the yogurt or sour cream consistency to your paste. So my green, my parakeet looks good. Grab a clean stir stick here and see what my grape soda looks like. Ooh, that was starting to dry. So you can tell that's a little bit thicker than yogurt or sour cream. So I'm going to add about a half of a spritz from my little chalk Couture bottle. It gives you a nice, even, light spray, which is great. And stir that up until it's the right consistency. This looks pretty good. Back to my morning sky. which I need to fix my letters. This might be a teensy bit thick. Another little half a spritz. Stir it up. Good idea when you're done with using your jars of chalk paste, before you seal them, put a little half a spritz on top and close the cover. That way it keeps them nice and moist until your next use. If there's any water still remaining on top, just stir it in and you're good to go. I've got a little bit of chalk paste around the edges here that dried while I had the jar open. I got a habit of mine. I'm learning. Okay, so that's my blue. And my other green sitting here. Let me clean my fingers and go get that transfer. And obviously your fingers clean up just like the transfers and the board. Water, you could use a little bit of soap if you want. And it comes right off. Now, this seems pretty sticky. I'm going to turn over my fuzzing cloth from the microfiber side and lay this transfer down to fuzz it. I'm trying to be very careful with it as it is a little bit large to make sure that I don't get it folding back on itself. Oh my goodness. Very, very sticky. Let me get my little E over here. I especially want to fuzz, well, I might as well fuzz the whole thing. What the heck, right? Oops. I'm only going to do the flower and the stem here, and then the S and the word day, but I might as well fuzz the rest of it, because even if I don't press it down, I don't want it sticking and lifting any chalk paste, any of the dried chalk paste. Our transfers come in 5 different sizes. This is the C size. They're labeled A through E, with the A being like a 5x7 and the B more like, oh, I think a 9, they fit a 9x12 surface. And this is more like, I think a 12x16 type of surface was what it is intended for. Ooh, listen to that stick. I've heard one of the nice ways to rejuvenate the stickiness of your transfers is to dry it on the microfiber side. And I have to admit, this is pretty impressive. Okay, I think I'm about ready to lay it back down on the surface. I don't want it too sticky though, because I probably am going to have to move it around about a little bit to get it centered right over what's already been chalked. And I'm going to turn this vertically so that I can see a little bit better to line it up. I think if I line up the word give, I should be pretty much home free. That looks like it might be, oops, something scooted on me. I'm really not that worried about give. I just need to get this day in there properly. Need to pull it down a teensy bit. Oops, too much. A lot of our fonts actually have a distressed look, and the nice thing about that is it gives you a little leeway for if the paste lifts at all, or if you don't have something perfectly aligned, it almost hides your mistake, which is kind of cool. I wonder about the creativity that goes on behind the design of some of these transfers. I mean, obviously there's the thought for the wording and whatever, but the actual artistry and making them so easy to use is kind of interesting. Okay, not perfect down here, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm not chalking it. So, put my flower down. Make sure it's smooth with no air bubbles. I don't like how the way the us is there. Wait a second. I need to pull that up a teensy bit. Pull it up, pull it down, right. Nope, I'm a little bit stuck down here. We lift and adjust. Sometimes you need 3 hands. Of course, that would be me. We have a transfer called Awkward Since Forever. Oh my goodness, that is Kathie. So the fact that I could actually create something of beauty here is pretty impressive to me. Okay, I think I'll just go over that a little bit. Okay, very good. Doesn't feel like any air bubbles. I'm not going to go over the E. That's just that I don't have it lined up, but this will be fine. Let me get the blue. Wipe off my squeegee. Cleanup of squeegees the same as everything else. Water will do it. Returning the excess to the jar. Made sure it's nice and smooth. And then onto the greens. For the stem and the leaves. I'm just going to dab a little bit or kind of drizzle a little along here. I wanted the stem kind of the lighter. Oops, too big clump there. Woo! Not what I wanted. Oh well. Things happen. Really didn't want that clump. Okay, as I'm only dealing with one green right now, I could lift it and that's fine. I'm going to put the other green down though, and then I wouldn't add anything back, or I wouldn't put anything back into this jar. I don't want to mix my colors. This is my garden green. I couldn't think of the name. My mind just blanked there. Ah, and I've got some on my multi-tool. So let me grab this other little squeegee and add some more of the garden green. Trying to take care not to get some of the parakeet green on it because I can't put it back in the jar. Okay. So with the squeegee, I'm blending them together and getting a little mix of color. So it'll be a little bit closer to how it's actually found in nature. Oh, my paste was a little bit thicker than I intended here. Okay. Now I need to add my little bit of purple. And let me clean my little cut piece of squeegee. And finish this. Give us this day our daily bread. And I'm going to go outwards from the green so that I don't run the risk of bringing any green in with my grape soda chalk paste here. Do these kind of look like they might be hyacinths? I've kind of wondered. Okay, let's see what we're looking at. I think it looks pretty good. I have a little, no, I think the S will look fine when it dries. Wow, what do you think? Can you see the difference in the greens? Thank you for sticking around for the completion of this project. Have a wonderful life and a great 2020. Thank you.